Good morning, good morning. Dun, 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 dun. So this is like round two for me. So first round, I literally went halfway through my video and mid-video because I'm so just like hyperactive and just can't sit still that I wasn't wearing pants. And like whenever you're sitting in one position, that's cool and all, but then whenever you're like moving around and like I don't do that whenever I make videos, but like I can't sit still. So I was like, just because at first I was like, it's my house. I don't have to wear pants if I don't want to. And then I was like, I'm going to go put on pants. So you're welcome, or I'm sorry, whoever's watching that I put pants on. Hi. Okay, I'm gonna post this on my YouTube channel. I made it Halana Spirit Speaks. I made it like, I think I've made like probably 10 videos total, and I've only actually posted 3 on there because I forgot my like email and my password, and I've been healing, y'all, okay? I've been digging up some good shit for you guys, like... My shadow has been literally kicking, screaming, crying, running, and just taking the show. And I am finally integrating, healing, understanding, listening, caring for her, and showing compassion for her. Because, I mean, you might be in that state right now where you're like, I am done. Like, you had your last trigger and you are done. You realize it, you accept it, you understand it, and you're putting your foot down against your mind. You're putting your foot down against this trauma, against this person, against this shadow self that keeps presenting itself in triggers and reactions and like done, and it's started just consume your life. Because the more energy, the more we react and act on those triggers, the more you're feeding energy into this shadow self that's not you. You don't, and it's stopping you from being your greatest, most beautiful, brightest, best self. Because you're basing, don't you want to base your decisions and your like every day, your communication with others, your like the way you carry yourself, your decisions, don't you want to make those based on your life force energy, or do you want to base them on of your fear-based trauma? Like, which one sounds a little nicer? Like, that's all our shadow. So I started doing shadow work about a year ago. And what it is you, like I said, you recognize a trigger. So I'll get personal because that's kind of like a little bit of what my shadow self is kind of scared of anyway. And I'm running away from, like I said, the fear-based acts. I'm running away from that. And, so I'm going to be vulnerable. One of my things is connection, because of my abandonment issues. I'm scared to connect with people, relationships, because I'm like, what's the point of they're going to leave? So, and prior to that, if I start to get unsettled, scared, acting on fear, and then the next stage, okay, so that's your trigger. First, acknowledge your trigger. Acknowledge where these actions come from. So that's the first step. And then the next step is, okay, before I react, what's that base knowledge, or that, I don't even want to say knowledge because that's even hyping it up too much. It's this negative thought, negative framework that you, or your safety blanket that you make validation for reacting that way. Like mine is, I can do anything by myself. I know I'm fine by myself. So that kind of gives me validation for pushing people away. That gives me validation for acting on these triggers. And the more you, like I said, the more you act on those triggers, the more you're feeding energy into the shadow self until it consumes you. And it literally is getting faced in everything you're seeing. It is controlling your life. It was making it to where I was not being able to have like actual connections with these beautiful people that I'm making friends with. Like I was seeing jealousy in the face of like beautiful people instead of, because this lack of connection, or and it's once you recognize it and realize it, have compassion for it. So don't feed into that and act on it, understand it, and kind of sit with yourself. You're going to have to build a good rapport with yourself again. You're going to have to show up for yourself again. You're going to have to think, if you meet a friend, if you have a friend, a very close friend, they're constantly saying negative things to you. They're constantly throwing up past triggers, past traumas, and past things that you've where you've messed up. You're the things that you're ashamed of. Because that's what our mind does. That's what this shadow, how our shadow wants us to, act out of fear, and feed the shadow, and, feed into that trauma. So you're going to have to, kind of, show up for yourself again. You're going to have to make a good relationship with yourself again. Like, okay, make your mind a safe space again. Okay, I can sit with myself in my mind, and I'm not going to be mean to myself today. I'm going to tell myself I'm fucking beautiful. I'm going to tell myself I deserve that happy relationship. I'm going to tell myself that not everybody is out to harm me. Just because sometimes my mind is literally out to harm me, that does not mean other people are. Just because, other people have came and gone does not mean I'm going to stay present with myself. I'm going to have compassion for myself, and then the compassion expands, and how do I do that? I've been really doing some integrate. So that's the first part. Journaling is a beautiful part of that. It's hard sometimes, especially if the traumas are a little harsher. So writing your triggers, writing that comfort that you give yourself, I'll be fine by myself. Recognizing that is toxic, and then how you've reacted in your past and how you could have reacted better. And then whenever you start to notice it and not act on it, you're not giving fuel to the fire, you're giving fuel to your love and your spirit and your compassion. And it feels beautiful. And it's you're retraining yourself. You're retraining your brain to trust yourself again, trust your spirit. And then you can build and act on that, divine guidance, and trusting your divinity, and, having trust in the universe again. And because, you're not in that trauma. So the way that I integrate this, so my favorite way of integrating, and how I've been integrating, because I did all this shadow work at once. About a year ago, I started doing shadow work, and I never integrated. I was just sitting in that shit. So I'm just sitting. It becomes depressing when you pull up your traumas, pull up all the fucking dark within you, recognize it, and then what? What do you do with that? No, integrate it. Realize that that's not the present you. You're not your traumas. You're not your mind. I love, my favorite way of integrating is playing old music that got you through those traumas, or that you listened to and associated with those traumas. So for example, I would always listen to A Day to Remember, or Taking Back Sunday, all these harder stuff, that's pretty. Like, if you listen to the lyrics, it's like, what? Like, so now I listen to those songs whenever I'm like noticing that, like, I'm not integrating. Oh, my little bun buns. Whenever I'm noticing that my shadow's needing to be integrated, and she's needing to be seen and felt and comforted, because that's how you have to treat your shadow. She's a part of you. Give love to her. It helps you love every piece of yourself. So whenever I notice that she needs to be seen, heard, felt, I like to play some of that old music, and it brings you back to that present moment of, oh, okay, this doesn't hit me the way it used to. I don't associate with this anymore. Now it's just a fucking jam. Now it's just like, oh, okay, yeah, like, dun, 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 like, you can slit my throat, and with my one last gasping breath, like, what? Like, oh, like, okay, that shit doesn't, like, or, you know what I mean? Like, that's the stuff that it kind of brings you that realization. Okay, I'm not in my trauma anymore. I lived through it. And you're proving to yourself also, like I said in my last video, that you're a warrior that has conquered that trauma. So don't let it persist and continue in your day-to-day life and continue controlling your day-to-day life. Like you are powerful enough. And that's another thing that you can shift. Like I said, like I can do it all alone. I'm shifting that to I'm powerful enough. I'm independent. I've gained power. I've gained independence. I've gained self-love from conquering this trauma. Not like loneliness or not like solitude. So reframe the way that you say it to where it's coming in a more, it's giving you more power. It's giving you power over your shadow, over yourself, over the self-talk. And cause like I said, we're retraining the mind. So listen to old music, realize I'm not in that present state anymore. Another thing, journaling, like I said, journaling's huge, and doing something. Don't feed into the triggers. When your shadow self comes up, you're going to want to do all the coping mechanisms that got you through it. That was hard for me. Drinking was my old coping mechanism. I tried that shit. Self-harm. I tried. Whenever you exhaust your options, find new coping mechanisms. Move your body. So find new coping mechanisms. Things that you've always wanted to do. But you've been too scared of. Like singing. That opens your throat chakra. Movement, that helps keep your energy going. So dance, go out and dance, or pick up a hobby, do yoga, do something that you have always wanted to do, but you're like, oh, I can't do it because of this. Or paint, like do something that scares the shit out of you. Do something that you're like, well, so-and-so, my family thinks that that's pointless to do, so I'm not going to do it. Or don't completely come into yourself and listen to yourself and separate from anything telling you that you can't do anything. And do that. We're not in this fear-based society anymore of life and death. You can go out and live off of fear or do something that's, scary to you or uncomfortable, and that's how we expand and grow. That is life. I mean, if you're not alive, if in nature, if it's alive, it's growing. So you can say that, life is growth. Like, so grow, damn it. Get uncomfortable. Do things against your comfort zone. I had a really close friend who is the most beautiful freaking singer. Oh my God. Beautiful, gives you chills. And she sang the other day for one of the first times that I had heard her on stage. And I was like, hyped her up afterwards. I was telling her, girl, that it was inspiring. It's inspiring when you see people break from these shackles and break into their power. And so do that. It's uncomfortable. It's gonna be scary. But like I'm here for it. I'm here for you. It's gonna inspire the shit out of people. Doing this, dude, talking for me, like, is like, especially like publicly, like, was always so scary to me. But that's helped really break my throat chakra, and really help me begin to like kind of see into my dharma. This is not my dharma. I don't know, but I see it's starting my steps and starting to open the doors of purpose, of my life purpose. And that's by just opening my throat chakra and letting that energy flow through me, this universal love that I'm trying to expand out. And I love you. Have an amazing day. It's freaking beautiful outside. I actually just worked a night shift, but I'm staying up for it because I don't have work tonight. So like I'm like on fumes, but like the best. Like I got all this energy. Like, have an amazing day. Embrace your shadow. Hug yourself. Give yourself compassion, self-love, good self-talk, and love yourself again. Become like your best friend again, where you're safe. And I love you. Have an amazing day. I'm Helena. This was my Spirit Speaks. And yeah.